Sévrine, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Really excited about our conversation. I know we're going to talk a lot about Evol and talk about the company that you're running right now, and I think it's a subject that is obviously very du jour, very apropos today, right? So women and entrepreneurship, and more generally diversity as well. I guess one thing that's always been in the back of my mind is how do we encourage more women to start companies, to become entrepreneurs, to become CEOs? How do you wrestle with this question? I imagine you've given it a lot more thought than I have.
Well, it all begins, I would say, with models. To be able to imagine yourself doing something, you have to have models. You have to have, if you're women, you have to have other women entrepreneurs that has been able to succeed in business and to do business the way they wanted to do it. And for many, many years, women only had men as model into entrepreneurship and businesses. But more and more, what we've seen in the last 10 years is women entrepreneurs taking more and more their places. And the more we have models, women entrepreneurs as models, the more we see the new generation thinking about starting their own business. And what we see today is half of the new businesses are owned by women. So that's an amazing news. I mean, we've made a huge progress. There's still a lot to do because when you see the big companies, I mean, obviously only a tiny bit of those companies are owned by women, but it all starts with the beginning, right? And the new entrepreneurs, half of them are women, and I really think that that we're changing. The society is changing.
Yeah, that's a great stat. I hadn't heard that stat. I would have imagined if you had asked me much lower. So 50% sounds incredible. So that's amazing. I love that source. So I could link it in the show notes. And like you mentioned, it starts a lot with role models. So maybe one quick question, like who are your role models, like women entrepreneurs that you've looked up to throughout your career?
Mm. Well, I've been working with the Chamber of Commerce for a few years before working with Femmessor and then Evol. And I've been able to meet a lot of great leaders, men and women. Although I was surrounded by much more men, I had the privilege to discuss and to see women taking more and more their places into the business area. I've been able to meet a lot of great women here in Quebec. Of course, we all know Danielle Henkel, which I truly and dearly admire, who's a friend now. But also women like Marie-Josée Gagnon, that I know that you know as well, and many other that we don't necessarily see that much into the media, on television show, but that are truly amazing and very inspiring. What I what I search when I look at to women role models are women entrepreneurs or women leaders that have been able to stay authentic, to lead with their own qualities, not trying to be another man, not trying to be a woman leading like a man, but really truly being themselves and being able to have success with that authenticity. So that's really um, what inspire me and the type of role model that I've been looking for. Not always easy to find though, but there are a few into the how do you say milieu des affaires? I keep on searching for that
The
word.
business world.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's. I think that's great, Séverine. I think what I like about what you said is that there are many more role models, and like I've hopefully I've had a few also on the show. I'm trying to promote. I think for the longest time, maybe a mea culpa, I had like a very high percentage of men on the show. It was like I will not say the percentage, but it was embarrassing, and then I had to really take the effort to get women and reach out. And surprisingly, I was surprised. Like many declined. So it was like, oh, maybe a question, like you said, like I'd be curious to hear you about how do we get women to want to take that stage more, it's not a question of competence. Sometimes it's a question of nature, like you said. So I'm curious to hear if this is something that maybe I'm off in my own little myopic world, or you think it's something that women tend to less have that drive of, like, like they say in French, se péter les bretelles.
Hmm. I would start with the word in French as well, but women are really good at having that syndrome de l'imposteur. I don't know what it's in English,
It's the same
but
same imposter syndrome.
yeah, imposter syndrome, and because it is still difficult for women entrepreneurs and women leaders to take their place within a majority of men leader. And some of the women, I think that, so I don't know if you've seen that there was an ad with a little girl with this um, pancarte, which was saying, "I'm not bossy, I'm a leader."
Hmm.
But when a woman act like a leader, sometimes people will say, "Oh, she's bossy." Or when women try to put up front her success, people will say, "Oh, she's how do you say?"
Just attitude, or she's being, yeah, like they ascribe the wrong value, in terms of the behavior, versus like a man. Oh, a man, that he's a, that person is a leader, versus a
He's
woman. It's
confident.
like,
Yeah, he's confident. But women, oh, she's
she has attitude, or yeah,
exactly. So it's already difficult for women to truly make their place into that milieu. So it's really difficult. So I think the best way to bring women up front is for men to put light on them,
yeah,
and more men are playing that role. And I would say that I am where I am today because my ex boss, who was a man, Michel Leblanc, really put me up front and put light on me and open door for me, and that really made a difference. So I think to have more women into businesses, we need men to give them space and women to be willing to take their place as well.
yeah, yeah. That's fascinating, because one of my questions was, how do we close the gaps? I find you've kind of answered a little bit about how, it's not just for women to raise their hand. Obviously, it's still a little bit a man's world, unfortunately. So men have to give that spot. And I think, just if I put an investor hat on, and let's say you're investing in a basket of businesses. If you
Yeah,
invest in a basket of, like, 100 companies, and 100 are run by, like, old white men, not to pick on them a bit, but maybe just a bit, versus, let's say, something that's a lot more diverse. Like, research has shown that the returns for the investor, like, in this case, is going to be higher with a more diverse bucket, right? So it's not just a thing of, making way, but it's also better overall in terms of having impact.
absolutely. And studies shows as well that diversity into when you invest in a business, diversity, yes, bring more return on your investment, but also usually the businesses that are owned by a diversity of person, they are more responsible socially and environmentally. And we need those kind of business right now with the kind of society that we have.
How did you get interested in this challenge, right? Like, we'll talk about Evol in a second, but, like, was this something that was always, like, a cause that was near and dear to your heart, or did it come really with the challenge of Evol?
um both of both of the answers, I would say. I've always been um truly engaged and preoccupied by the environmental issues that we're living, and also by social justice, and how to make sure that every person in our society is able to contribute to its full potential. And before working with the Chamber of Commerce. I've worked for almost 10 years into the social and community sectors. And I've been really interested in all the concepts of how do you develop a society, a community, how you make sure to create prosperity that will benefit for everybody. So when I arrived at Femmessor, I was really happy to be able to mix two of my greatest passion, entrepreneurship, and to be able to promote entrepreneurship for a part of the population that was not contributing to its full potential. And so I've been doing that for many years with Femmessor and women entrepreneurs. And then two things happened. First of all, with our board of directors, we kept on reflecting how can we make sure to stay always, how do you say, pertinent? Like,
Pertinent, yeah, relevant.
how did you say?
Relevant.
Yeah, relevant, useful to the society. We're really good at working with women entrepreneurs towards a more inclusive economy. So, and there are other kind of people into our society that lives the same kind of obstacles than women in entrepreneurship. So can we help them as well and make sure we really contribute to a more inclusive economy? So that's it's been a few years since we've been starting to think of those questions with our board of directors. And the other thing is in 2018, when the GIEC, I don't know in English how you say, the Group Intergouvernemental, for the climate change, when their report went out in 2018 and made it so obvious that we were going right into a we
Into a
were
wall, right? Yeah.
we were going to hit the wall and we will not survive as a humanity into into our own planet if we continue doing the things that we do the same way, and that includes the business community, that includes entrepreneurs. How can we uh, how can we build businesses that um, bring positive impact to our society instead of bringing in negative impact with our environment? And how can we, as Femmessor at that time, an organization that provides financing, that provides support to entrepreneurs, what is our responsibility towards that issue? And that's how we started reflecting on how we could take a bolder engagement towards a more sustainable economy and a more inclusive economy. And that's how, um, with time, we developed Evol.
Yeah. I love the duality of like the dual mission of not just diversity and obviously women entrepreneurs, but also like you said, like a little bit of making a bigger impact, right? So impact investing is obviously becoming a much more common trend, and rightfully so, just because like you said, there's so many global challenges that can't be faced, I think, only by the public sector. So I like your philosophy of like, well, capitalism isn't just like, yes, it could be seen as evil, but at the same time it could create a lot of positive impact because it
Yeah,
motivates people to want to work hard, profit from that hard work. And then
yeah,
if you choose the right purpose, the right vehicle, it can have a very positive impact for society.
yeah. I'm convinced that, I mean, a lot of the problems that we're facing has been caused by economy, but the economy has to be the solution or part of the solution as well. Because, I mean, like we said, it's the economy is stupid. It's not going to change. People need to work. People need to have money to to their own project, to eat, to and I am truly convinced that it is definitely not only it is possible, but it's beneficial to create businesses that are at the same time contributing positively to society and also being creating values and creating prosperity.
Yeah, I think the more meta point is one of progress, right? Like if you look at our neighbors to the south, progress can go backwards. There can be regression. So
Yeah,
I like how you position it about like we need to put energy into these things. Money for me is just energy.
yeah,
In terms of like pushing people to make sustainable change, it's not going to happen by itself. There's inertia in the world, right? Entropy. So you need to push it. Maybe it's a good segue to talk about Evol and your mission. Maybe to start with your company's mission.
yeah. Well, our true purpose is really to help entrepreneurs to create a better world, because we believe that entrepreneurs, they have the creativity, the agility, and the capacity to innovate and to bring solutions to most of the problems that we face as humanity. And so we want to be there and provide financing, because we need money to be able to launch major projects, but also support and advices to entrepreneurs that enter this business world with new project, or sometimes with the mission to transform their own business, to contribute with an impact on the society. And we want to be there to help them with that, bring them resources, bring them tools, bring them money, and bring them a human support as well, because over and above, we're all humans just wanting to help each other to create a better world. That's really how that's really our philosophy, and how we like to work.
Yeah, it's an inspiring mission, Sévrine. And the how, I think you'd mentioned it, but it's kind of twofold. There's financing and then consulting, if I understand correctly, right? And financing is really, I think, the core, the origin. And now, as you've gone more, like you said, resources, tools, consulting. So maybe talk a little bit about the financing. So, like the type of financing, is it debt? I imagine it's not equity. And then the types of checks that you're cutting for.
So we provide loans, $20,000 up to $450,000. We provide loans for business that are, well, new business that are just launching, but also for businesses that are looking for money to be able to grow, or for entrepreneurs that want to acquire a business. So those are the type of businesses that we serve. But we are also working on an equity project, because we realize that many of our entrepreneurs, um, not only do they need loans, but some of them need investment. And although there's a lot of capital on the market for technologies, really innovative companies, it's a lot more difficult for businesses that are more working into I would say, the traditional sectors, to be able to get funding within it. So we're at the stage that we are looking at the market, looking at the needs, and where can we once again be the most relevant in complementarity with what is already on the market.
Yeah. Why wouldn't a bank, like, why would a female entrepreneur go to a Vol and not a bank? Is it because the bank will not underwrite this kind of loan? Is it too risky, like, as an asset class? Like, what's the differentiator for a Vol?
Hmm. Well, first of all, I would say that historically and still today, women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs from diverse horizon, they tend to have more difficulties to be able to get loans from the traditional banking sectors. Um, we could say that sometimes it might be due to bias, but there's also the sectors of activities where women entrepreneurs are really active. So, for example, women entrepreneurs tend to have businesses into the how do you say, commerce de détail,
Yeah, retail.
in the retail, restaurants, health sector, education sectors. Those are really important sectors for our economy, but tend to be businesses that will not grow as fast and as big as the technology sector, for example. And for that reason, they have a little bit more difficulties to be able to get some loans. Um, so that's one of the reasons why Femmessor was created 25 years ago, to be able to provide that kind of support to women entrepreneurs. But still today, when you look at the studies, the first obstacle for women entrepreneurs to start their business is to find the financing. So that's why we're there. We take more risks than a usual, well, I would say, a traditional institution, but we work a lot with them. And I think one of the value that we bring at the table is uh, when an entrepreneur, women or someone from the diversity, have a loan with us, they also have support, consulting with us. And that's a way for our partners to manage the risks as well, because they know that we're going to follow the project, that we're going to help the entrepreneurs succeed. And I mean, 80% of the businesses that we finance at their beginnings, they're still in activity after 5 years, which is way over the 65% for most of the businesses. So yeah, I think we work well together, and we bring a value that the traditional sectors doesn't bring.
Yeah, it's an interesting model. Like in terms of the consulting, do you charge for it, or is it something that comes with a loan?
It comes with the loan.
Okay.
It comes with the loan. So because we have the chance that we are supported by the government, by the federal and the provincial government, and that's why we can provide so many services for free. So the consulting on our website, we have tons of tools. We have trainings. We have over 150 experts all around Quebec in all kind of field of expertise that an entrepreneur would need. But let's say HR, marketing, legal advising, all of those people accepted to give time pro bono to our entrepreneurs. So that's free services to all entrepreneurs in Quebec that have a loan with us. So and that, yeah, that's because we've been able to mobilize a whole community around our cause and purpose.
Yeah, it's amazing. And also, I imagine it also helps just from a business perspective with deal flow, right? So because you have a brand, entrepreneurs know to reach out to you, right? So I
Yes.
imagine you're getting the phone calls instead of having to knock on the doors, which is obviously a good problem to have.
Yeah, we receive over 10,000 phone calls every year, and we provide consulting to almost 3,000 entrepreneurs every year. And we would finance about 100 businesses every year.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know if you could talk about it, but I'd be very curious to learn more about the equity piece that you mentioned, right? So maybe, I don't know if it's still early, but like being able to participate and have upside. So where are you in terms of your reflection?
We we used to have a little amount of money that was meant to be using as an equity fund a few years ago, and we partnered with Desjardins for that fund. And there's a few women entrepreneurs that have been able to get some investment through that fund, but um, it was a capital de développement, so it was really for the growing phase. And what we've seen is that women were really maybe a little bit more um, difficult to convince to get some equity, to get some investment. And so we decided to put that project on the ice and to take a step back and to look at the market and see what are the real needs. And so we're starting our, I would say, market study this year. But mainly what we would like to put in place would be an equity fund that is meant for entrepreneurs from diverse origin, women and men that are identifying themselves to, I would say, a minority group into our economy. and that have a project to bring to generate positive impact with their business into our society. So the same criteria to get a loan would apply. I mean, the baseline to that equity fund. And what would how much money would we bring, and for what kind of businesses? I mean, we're open for at this moment. We're really looking at what are the needs of entrepreneurs, what our partners what our partners are already offering, and what could we offer that is different, complementary. So it's really a bit it's really a beginning for us. We're working on this, but what we see is that it's there seems to be some needs in the first stages of growing, at the beginning of the business, and especially for businesses that are non-tech.
Interesting, yeah, because yeah, I often, like at least in my world, everyone talks about, like the venture
Yeah,
capital space and tech, and like huge
yeah,
returns, but maybe less so in terms of VCs in more traditional sectors, which obviously can still have great returns, right? If backed by the right entrepreneurs. Um,
in the US there's only 2% of the venture capital that goes to women owned
hmm,
businesses. 2% only, and I'm pretty sure that here in Canada it's probably not much more. So we would like to change that, and for women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs from diversity to be able to be able to benefit from that kind of investment as well, because there are a lot of benefit working with investors.
of course, yeah, of course. Like it's a question of like you said, making a bigger impact. Obviously, there's a higher degree of risk, but if you have more money to swing the bat, you have a bigger chance. Um,
Exactly.
I'd like to talk about maybe a little bit about you as CEO. So I think, and in prepping for the interview, like I read some interviews about yourself, how like famously you left, a family trip in Costa Rica to take over the role, and become, like become CEO of Femmessor, which is now Evol. How has your role changed over the past 5 years?
Mm. Well, when I arrived at Femmessor, I was in 29 colleague to arrive into the organization. Um, it was already a quite complex organization with 17 offices around Quebec, although we were only 29. And I arrived when the woman entrepreneurship was getting more and more attention into the media. So I arrived, I would say, at the right time. I was at the right time, at the right place at the right time, I would say. But my role has changed a lot since then, because it was really a good time to arrive in that kind of organization. We've been growing a lot, and so today, Evol, we're 80 colleagues, always around Quebec. And when I arrived at Femmessor, we had a $19 million fund to work with, and now we have $60 million to work with. So it's been changing a lot, growing a lot, and my role was really to be able to navigate and to be able to seize those opportunities that we had on the table, because we were at the right place and at the right moment. And another big part of my role was really to make sure that our team knew why we were working and what was our purpose, and how we would be able to deliver an exceptional service for our clients. So that's really how I see my job. As I always For my team, I'm not the president and CEO of Femmessor. I'm the, like in French, it's PDG. So the P is for porte-parole, so the spokesperson. The D is for the development of the organization and being able to get all the opportunities for our organization to grow. And the G is for gardien de la culture, which is um, the the guardian of our, yeah, of our culture, of our values. And that's really how the team see my work, and how I tend to work as well. And this hadn't changed that much since I'm at Femmessor, because I don't see myself that much like a leader, follow me, that's where I'm going. I really see myself like, what I like about leadership is being able to work with people. And I like to consult a lot. I like to work with, um, all of my teams were we take decision together. I like to give a lot of power with the people I work with, because I have a I truly trust my team, and I think they're extremely brilliant. So I like to see them shine, and I like to see them take initiative, and I think that worked well for us, actually.
Yeah, I love that PDG. I'm going to steal that porte-parole développement gardien. I think it's a great way of position. Well, what is the role of a CEO, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the context of the business. You mentioned a few parts of the future vision, right? So, like, I imagine in your strategic plan, what you're planning out, is there a bigger goal? Like, what, like maybe a few other details of big pillars that you're working on for the next few years?
Hmm. Well, this year really our focus is really to consolidate what we've been working so hard to achieve. The transformation from Femmessor to Evol was a major change for our organization. Let's face it, we're deserving new populations that we need to know better. I mean, it was really, we've been working for over 20 years with women entrepreneurs. We had this expertise, and now mm, we need to build our knowledge with all of the other people who are deserving right now. So LGBTQ, we need to get to know way more better how the First Nations are thinking entrepreneurship, how the racialized people are thinking entrepreneurship, what are their needs, how can we be useful for them. So there's a lot to learn. So we're really in a learning curve right now. Same thing with the impact side of our mission. Although we've always done impact financing, because we were financing women entrepreneurs, and that's really what the changes we wanted to make into the society. But now we're really aiming for, not only ourselves having an impact, but how to um, influence the entrepreneurs for them to have a positive impact into the society. And so we're developing new tools, new services for them. So on this side as well, we are in a really big learning curve, and we're trying to be, as good as possible, as fast as possible. So I would say, like, the next year is really one to be able to deliver what we've promised with Evol. Afterwards, well, of course, there's the development of new financing tool like the equity fund that we've talked about. But um, I wouldn't, I don't think I will surprise anyone by saying that I see Evol going outside Quebec. I think we have an amazing model that we've proven how useful it can be to have an organization like this that, provide financing and services to underrepresented entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs that want to have a positive impact on society. So yeah, why not being able to share our expertise and our experience with other parts of the world. So yeah, that's how I see the future.
I love the ambitious goal, right? So it's like you said, it comes back to making an impact, and like not just in our province. I guess two questions, maybe one personal one, and have you gone back to Costa Rica since that fateful day you decided to like pack up and leave and cut your vacation short?
No, but I would love to go back. But the thing is, I mean, I love traveling. We love traveling with our family. And we just arrived from Tahiti and we've been back to Mexico. And I mean, I like to travel all around. So every time we have a chance to go for travel, I tend to go to a new place because there's so many places we need to discover, right? But I do miss Costa Rica. I do miss the community where we were living. We were living in a small village called Samara. We have friends there that are still living there, and yeah, I mean, I'm starting to thinking about going back for a few weeks, maybe even work from there sometimes for a short while, because I mean, since the pandemic, I mean, everybody almost work from their home or from a distance. So why not being able to work from anywhere in the world where the the internet is good, and you have a safe space to work. And yeah, so I'm trying to think about that, but yeah,
Yep, the
I don't
pura
know.
vida, the beauty of the remote world, right? So being able to work from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Sévrine, this has been a real pleasure. Continued success with Evol and what you're building. Final question is, if people want to learn more about your mission, reach out and connect, what's the best way?
Yes, well, our website, evol.ca. I'm also in LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm really glad to meet new people. So yeah, I'm open to new connection on LinkedIn. Especially, just write me that you've listened to me on this podcast, and I will accept you in my network with pleasure.
Sévrine, merci beaucoup.
Thanks to you, Nectar.